You gotta have fun with this music. Come on now. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another Saturday edition of Ask Ira, Jobseekers Q&A. It is November 7th, 1 week into November. And I don't know if you saw, we have breaking news. I don't know how you feel about it, but the AP press has declared Joe Biden the winner. Now, officially, that doesn't really matter. I hate to tell everybody who the media elects president, or declares the winner is not actually how it works. There's an electoral college. The electoral college is who we actually, when we vote, they are the ones who cast the official ballots for president of the United States. That is not settled yet because there are lawsuits and things that will happen. There's some recounts that'll happen. But today, officially, the AP declared Nevada and Pennsylvania for Biden, both for Biden. And it begs the question, why not, the other two that are, well, anyways, we could get into that. But they declared those electoral votes will go to Biden, and that will put him over the 270 mark, which is all you need to win. So if those do stay that way, then there you go. But we know that there are going to be some recounts. And so I wouldn't get too excited on either side just quite yet, because I'm sure that the dust isn't settled. But it does look like Biden's going to win. So, one way or the other, we will have a president. And if it's Joe Biden, it's Joe Biden. If it's Trump, it's Trump. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pray for either one of them, no matter who's the winner. And I'm still going to go to work. And I'm sure most of you are too. So that is what it is. Now, going to work when you don't have a job means you're looking for a job. Right? You're working on your techniques. You're working on your networking. You're working on certifications. You're reading books. You're not just, feeling sorry for yourself. I have a feeling that I'm talking to the right 10 people because you guys on a Saturday are here with me. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start turning on these comments. I'm looking for questions. Now, if you don't have a question, I always say, let's start with where you are. Let's start with what you do, or let's start with where you want to do it too. You know what I mean? So those things. So will Biden ease migration news? I doubt it. First of all, it's not really what the president of the United States does, but anyways, we could talk about the ramifications of politics. I have a feeling we'd probably just be you and I on that. And then of course, what people say in elections, like what they campaign on and what they actually do usually don't match. If you go back and look at the platforms that people campaign on, and then you go and you look at their actual record for their term, and you look at what they said versus what they do, it almost never looks anything like it. So it makes, anyways, I don't want to get into too much politics because I don't want to depress you guys, but politics is a lot about, it's much ado about nothing. Honestly, it really is, because most of them will do whatever they think is going to get them more votes, not what they think is right. And that's my personal opinion after studying politics for 40 years. So there you go. Welcome to the United States. Good morning, Ghost. Nice to see you. Sarfaz, nice to see you. Good morning again, Amici. Good morning. Good morning. I'm coming to you. It's normally sunny California, but today it's actually, you might even hear it. There's rain out there for the first time in like 200 days. We haven't had rain in 200 days, and it's raining out there. So my kids are like sitting there staring at it because it's so uncommon. They're like, what is this wet stuff falling from the sky? Are the sprinklers on? It is what it is. So good morning, everybody. Do you have any questions? Any job search related questions? Like, maybe you want to talk about visas. Maybe you want to talk about, how to find a job in a foreign country. Maybe you want to talk about salaries, or maybe you're having trouble getting an interview. Maybe you're having trouble with, what do they mean when they say rewrite my resume each and every time before I submit a job, and why would I do that? We could talk about any of that stuff. If you have any job search related questions, that's really what I'm here for. Not so much politics, but I know it's obviously the topic. It's going to be the topic of the day. I have a feeling a lot of people in the United States haven't figured that out yet because they don't follow it as closely as I do. But it is breaking news, and it's important. 290 electoral college votes is quite a bit, right? You only need 270. It looked like the election was going to shake out 270 to 268. That's what it looked like it was going to be, very close. So if it does hold 290, that's significant. And more votes this time than in any presidential election ever. So there's a record number of people who voted. So that's good, right? The more people who participate, the better. Good morning, Christopher. Good morning. I'm from Saudi Arabia. How can I get a job from the USA from here? Well, there's a couple ways. I have some strategies written on my article. The number one, or on my website, I can bring that up for you too. It's above my head here in the thing. Just go to projecthelpyougrow.com. Go to blog. I've got two different articles. One is how to find a job in a foreign country. The other way is the practical pathway to finding a visa, although those were both written pre-COVID-19. I will tell you right now, it's really tough for anybody to get a job in a foreign country. Really tough when you want to live there. However, if you're not in a rush, a strategy that could work for you really well is to get a job from the company in the country in Saudi Arabia, where you are, who has an office somewhere in the United States, like New York or LA or Dallas or something like that, right? So you go to work locally for the company. And then as you're working for the company, you start talking to the HR team about transferring, and it usually takes years. This is not like a fast thing. This is a slow, long game, but it works. The other thing that people are doing right now is they're working remotely. So the United States has opened up remote work like never before, and most companies have around the world. Well, if you're in Saudi Arabia and you want to work for the United States company, you go for a job working for them remote. And you go, that doesn't get me where I want to get. Well, this isn't a fantasy or a dream scenario, but technically what you just said is, how can I get a job in USA from here? That's a way that you can do it, work remotely. Now, I'm going to tell you, if you start working for a company remotely in the United States and you do a good job and you become an integral part of their team, down the road, they might be willing to help you with that visa. They might be willing to even sponsor you. You understand what I'm saying? So that's the easiest way. There are lots of ways. What do you do? Do you do something that's commonplace? The more technically niche and harder to find your skill set is, the more likely you'll be able to find a job anywhere in the world. People who are straight out of college who go, I want to move from, we'll say Saudi Arabia to LA. Well, what do you do? Well, I don't have anything but a degree, no experience. Well, I could find those people. Let's just think about it from the employer's point of view. I can find that anywhere. Why would I pay to bring somebody in from another country and risk the culture shock? It just doesn't make sense. You know what I mean? It's like going to the other side of the world to buy bread or milk or something that's common, right? Whatever you would eat in your diet, when you can go to the local market and get it anytime you want. You know what I mean? So what I try to help people see this with this analogy with, working abroad is, you have to have something that they need in that market that they can't readily get in that market easily. That's why I use the word readily, right? So if you need let's say you're a brain surgeon, and you want to go be a brain surgeon in California, and there's not a lot of brain surgeons available, then yeah, it's relatively easy to find a job as a brain surgeon, and they will help you move over here. But if you want to be, let's say you want to be a customer service rep, and no disrespect to customer service reps, but it's more of an entry-level job, right? And there's plenty of people who can do the job in the local market. They're probably not going to bring you over. And that's what I mean, right? So it's about strategy. Hopefully I've answered that question sufficiently for the day. Don't worry, I get it every single episode. So you can always go back and watch any one of the Ask Iras on Project Help You Grow. There's a tab, Ask Ira, and you can watch it and see me answer that week in and week out. Twice a week, frankly. Good morning. Been looking for, you and billions of other people, right? I mean, look, guys, it's not magic. I think that's part of what you guys have to understand. Like your fantasy of living in the United States. First of all, I'm going to ask you why. What is it that you fantasize about being here, right? Because we still have bills. We still have to go to work. It's expensive to live here. You know what I mean? And the freedoms that you think we have are not necessarily real. You know what I mean? Like when you watch a movie and you see what our life is like, it's not really like that. You know what I mean? There's a lot of civil unrest in the United States right now. There's frankly a lot of hatred in the United States right now. People don't like each other. So make sure when you say you want to live in the United States, make sure you actually want to live here for something that's based on reality as well, not just what you imagined or fantasized about, because that could be heartbreaking. You spend your whole life trying to get to a place you think you want to be, and then find out it's not Hollywood. You know what I mean? It's not what you're seeing on the screen, man. I'm gonna tell you a hard truth. I spend more on my power bill than most of you spend for your home every month. You know what I mean? There's just one simple truth. So have you been to the place that you want to move to? Make sure you go visit. And when you go visit, let me give you guys a tip. When you go to visit a place that you're thinking about living at, don't go there as a visitor, like a tourist. I want you to go experience things like rush hour traffic. I want you to go to the grocery stores. I want you to go to the banks, go to the church or wherever you would worship. Do the things at the times that you would do if you lived there. Figure out what you can afford when you move there and find an Airbnb or a place that you can rent that's like that place. Don't stay in a hotel and eat at all the fancy restaurants, because that's not what you would do when you move here, right? You're going to live in an apartment or you're going to live in a home. Then try to find a place that you can afford. And you go, well, what can I afford? Welcome to reality. Try to live in California right now. See if you can afford it. It takes a job that pays $50 an hour to sustain a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment in the not in the United States, but in California. That's what it takes. So if you're not going to make $50 an hour, you're not going to be living the life of luxury. You're certainly not going to have ocean views and all the things that you might have thought you're going to get. The palm trees and the white sand. And forget that. Most of California lives in agriculture. We see farms. We don't see the ocean. And most of us, if you're not seeing agriculture, you're seeing desert. I live in the desert. I don't see anything but dirt. So anyways, there's a little fatherly advice. Hopefully you don't get offended, but it might be a wake-up call that some of you need. The grass is not always greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it. Every place has politics. Every place has laws. Every place it costs money to live. The weather is different. I've lived in multiple places with different weather. And of all the things, the thing that's the most different about every place I've lived is just the weather. So like if you're in India, for example, and you don't like the weather where you are, move to another part of India where the weather is better for you. Some people like it hot. Some people like it cold. People who want to move to Canada, they get on my show and they say, I want a job in Canada. They're coming from a country that's like 100 degrees every day. I'm like, have you ever been in the snow? Have you ever had to shovel snow at 3 a.m. so you could get your car out of the driveway? I mean, the culture shock that you experience don't minimize that. There's quite a bit to be said for that. Again, it's just reality. So I hope that helps you guys. A couple of recruiters like my resume, but they can't get sponsorship. Yeah, 100%, dude. Liking your resume is not the objective. If you're looking for somebody to sponsor you, you have to be. let me use a word that I don't like to use a lot. You can't be flippant. You have to take this very, very seriously. And you have to understand that most companies will not sponsor you. So you have to be specific on looking for companies that will. You have to learn how to search for sponsorship in job listings and not even look at ones that don't have it, because you're not going to get the job. Most of them say they don't sponsor flat out. Most of them will tell you they don't. And I don't blame them. You might not like to hear that, but like I said, it comes down to availability. How available, supply and demand. Is there a lot of supply for that type of work that you do? Then your odds of getting sponsored are basically nothing. Most people are not going to find a sponsored job, and they don't want to hear that, but it's true. But now listen to what I said. You can work locally and then work on a transfer. That's a great strategy. It does work. The other one is work remotely, which you don't need to be sponsored for. Again, is your dream to live here, or is your job to work for somebody here? Because if your dream is just to work for a United States company, it's easier to do that now than ever before, but you're going to be doing it remotely from where you are. I don't know if that helps you, but it will help you think about what I've said. What does a prospective employer expect from you when they ask this question? Tell us about yourself. They don't give a crap what you've done in the third grade. They don't care what you had for breakfast this morning. They want to know, tell me about yourself as it relates to you filling this role. So it depends on the type of role, what answer they want to get. So let's talk about entry level, mid-level, and senior level. Entry level job, what they're going to want to know is, where did you go to school? What classes did you take that relate to this job? Again, they don't care if you did, like if it's a analytics role, they don't care if you played rugby, right? They want to know the things that you've done to qualify for the position. If it's a mid-level role, they don't care about where you went to school usually, unless you have like a pedigree school. In the United States, it would be something like, I went to USC, or I graduated from MIT, something like that, right? That's a pedigree school. Now, for mid-level, they want to know mostly, for mid-level jobs, usually somewhere between 5 and 10 years of experience. So they want to know, tell me about how you got into doing this role, and tell me about why you moved from position to position and what you learned in each stop, lessons learned that will help you accomplish this role. Because again, they're hiring you based on your qualifications. 3 things that get people a job. 1, your education. 2, your experience. 3, who you know. So the other thing that you could drop in there, in the tell us about yourself, is how you met the person inside that company that's referring you to that role, if in fact you have somebody referring you to that role. If you don't, then you can just eliminate that. Now, if you have a senior level, if you're going for a senior level role, right, like a C level or a VP role, then you want to talk about typically your management experience. You don't start with college and masters and all those degrees and all that stuff. That's just assumed that you have it, right? You're going to talk about specifically your management experience and what you're going to bring to the table. That's different. What leadership styles you have. You really want to focus on your leadership style, your philosophies of leadership, because that's what they're looking for you to do in a C or VP position. You're going to steer the bus. So they want to know your philosophies. Hopefully that helps you. What are some tips that you can, when creating LinkedIn profile to find a job? Oh, there's a ton. First things first, like with your LinkedIn profile photo, not bad, but you probably want to have one with a little bit bigger smile on your face. This is in the United States specifically. Some parts of the world you don't want to smile. But Joyce, I'm presuming you're from the United States. So if US, you want to do that. A lot of people don't have the profile photo, the cover photo up, and you want to do that. I did a course. Well, it doesn't matter. I did a course called Grow and Excel. If you're interested, you can buy that from me for $20. That'll teach you how to use LinkedIn to find a job. Just reach out to me in a DM, and I'll let you know how to pay, and then I'll send you the video. The video is like 90 minutes long, I think, but I go through it point by point. But your headline is important. Your cover photo is extremely important. You want to think about the search. This is something a lot of people don't think about. I call it LinkedIn SEO, but here's what it is really. What are people searching for when they're searching not for you, Joyce, but they're searching for people who do what you do? What key terms are they searching for, right? So for like me, they'd be searching for video creator, website manager, social media manager, logo designer, that kind of stuff. Okay. So I want to make sure in my headline, in my job descriptions, in my endorsements and skills, and in my referrals, I have those key terms in all of them. And they're highlighted, they're prevalent. Okay. Hopefully that helps you. Sir, what of scam job? There's lots of scams out there. Scams, unfortunately, are way too prevalent. I have a blog for you. I'm actually going to put this. It's a little bit harder to find on my website. Here, let me share my screen real quick. Okay, so I have all kinds of blogs, right? One of them is this one right here. It's called 5 Tips to Avoid Getting Burned. Okay, so I'm going to change this over so you can see it a little bit bigger. So I've written this article. It's a little bit older now, but read this. So there's information grabs, and I've got tips. The hook can hurt. The bait is set, excuse me. Social media to the rescue. Wait and see. You don't pay to work if you get burnt. Some stuff that. So anyways, I'm going to take this and I'm going to put this in the comments so that you can see it and read it. Well, let's talk about it real quick, okay? We have some time today, so let's talk about it. So first and foremost, have you been out of a job for a prolonged period? If you have, bills are piling up, you get a pressure, right? You feel this pressure like, I need to get back to work. And that's where you become vulnerable to That's where you get vulnerable to these scam attempts. They're taking advantage of your desperation. So usually they're going to take what they know about you and what they know about the company that they're pretending to represent, and they're going to infuse truth so it makes it seem plausible that it's real. And that's where they get you, right? So they're gonna try to gain all your personal information. There's a couple different types of scams. There's the ones where they get your information and steal from you. And then there's the ones where they get you to believe that you are being offered this job, but you need to give, them money. You need to pay them, pay to play. And don't ever do that. We don't pay companies to go to work for them. They pay us when we work, right? The other thing is, please, and I'm going to say this to your guys' face, as big as possible, look into my eyes right here. Look. If it sounds too good to be true, it is. You're being scammed. Don't fall for it. Let me say that again slower. If somebody offers you too much money and it doesn't make sense, you need to be smart enough to realize that you shouldn't be offered that money and they are trying to rip you off. Let me say it another way. Don't be stupid. Don't fall for everything somebody says to you just because they have a smile on their face and they're attractive. Okay? You're responsible to protect yourself because you have to understand there are a lot of evil people out there who are trying to rip you off because they don't care about you. They only care about what they can get from you, which is your money. So don't fall for their crap, okay? Be careful. Read the article that I wrote. I'll give you some safety tips on things to avoid. For example, if someone calls you up and says, I want to WhatsApp you. I don't know any recruiters that go to WhatsApp, guys. Okay? If they want to look, if you have any question about the validity of their employment, I want you to go to the company's website, not the one that they provided you. Go to Google the company. Let's say it's Bowman Digital Media. I'm not hiring, but let's say it was Bowman Digital Media. You would go to Google Bowman Digital Media, go to my website, which is bowmandigitalmedia.com, go to the phone number, call the phone number, and ask for the person who's supposed to be interviewing you, or ask for HR, even better, and then say, hey, I am supposed to have an interview for this position by, give the name of the person who's supposed to be interviewing you at the day and time that they've suggested, and verify from the person through the operator. You understand what I'm saying? I called the main company number. I was transferred to HR. I asked for that person. If they say, oh, yeah, we can verify that, then you're good. And if they can't, you were being scammed. It's that simple. So there's a lot of ways that you can be careful. One thing I've told people, like, if you get a job offer and you're not sure, is this real job offer or is this a scam? Send it to me in a DM. I will never charge you. I will look into it myself and I will let you know my opinion if it's legitimate or not. Usually those, when they come into me, are almost always scam attempts. Because I make graphics for a living, I can detect the Photoshop crap that people do. I can see it like a forensic scientist. I can see it. So send it to me. I'll check it for you. I usually get back to you in a few minutes. You'll be amazed. There are things out there that you can do to help yourself. So do those things. It's a good question. Hopefully I didn't offend you with my answers, but it is what it is. Do I know people in Spain? I do. I know people all over the place. It's one of the nice things about having a large network. I know people everywhere. I know quite a few people in Spain, actually. Let's see. Good morning, by the way. Good morning. Good morning. You're welcome, Joyce. It's my pleasure. Hopefully that information helped you. Good morning from India. Hey, it's my pleasure, man. I'm here to help. I really am. People don't always like the answers that I give, but I'm like the guy you come when you're tired of the crap. You don't want to hear the 100 million people out there that are just telling you guys whatever they think you want to hear because they want 1 million followers. I don't care. Follow me, don't follow me. But the fact is, I'm going to tell you the truth. If I don't know the answer, I'll look into it and I'll get back to you, right? And that's why I let people DM me. You can send me an email through Project Help You Grow. You can send me a DM through LinkedIn, even if we're not connected, because I've opened it up and allowed everybody to do that, okay? So you can, if you want, send me a direct message. Now, don't just send me hello. I don't have time to chit-chat, guys. I don't know if you guys realize, but I get like 200 DMs a day from people who just say, hello, what's going on? How you doing? Would you like to, spend 15 minutes talking on WhatsApp? No, I don't have time. I run Project Help You Grow. I have a business. I have my family. I need sleep. You know what I mean? Every once in a while, I got to do some personal care. I just, I don't have time for it. But if you send me a direct message that says, hey, I was offered a job by this company and I'm not sure if it's legitimate. Can you take a look for me? Yes, I will make time for that. Big difference. I'm here to help, not here to goof around. So hopefully that helps you guys. There's lots of ways to get suitable jobs right now. It depends a little bit on what you do for a living. Project Help You Grow is free. So, one of the things I tell people is make a profile. When you make the profile, don't just put your picture and your name. A lot of you guys stop at the wrong spot. I don't understand it. You actually got to fill it all the way out, right? So you create your profile first thing. You're just creating your username and setting your picture. But then you got to go in and hit the little cog, edit your profile, and add your details. Your LinkedIn is the most important thing. I was actually talking to somebody from LinkedIn about this the other day. Like,
LinkedIn is not my competition. Project Help You Grow was designed to complement LinkedIn. We utilize LinkedIn. We get people off of LinkedIn to build a profile so that people on LinkedIn can see more about them without having to worry about using up their free limits. And also, let's say you have a resume website that you've built or an introduction video that you want to put on there. Now with Featured, LinkedIn has added new things, which is cool. So Project Help You Grow's profiles are not as necessary as they once were. But when I started Project Help You Grow over 2 years ago, you couldn't add a video to your main profile. So if you wanted to say a quick 90-second introduction to potential employers, I would have you create the video host it on YouTube, but load it on your Project Help You Grow profile. And then when people would come to your Project Help You Grow profile, they could not only get your resume, they could also get to know you a little bit, which is pretty cool. Also, I let people save their portfolios on the website, load certificates and stuff like that, accomplishments, awards. And anyways, with the featured section of LinkedIn, that again, it's not as necessary, but it's still helpful. Okay. The other thing about Project Help You Grow, which is huge help for people, how do you get a suitable job? You learn how to find a job now, which is what I teach on Project Help You Grow on the blog. You guys should be reading every single one of my blogs. Not to pat myself on the back, but I'm a good writer and I'm writing relevant information that will help you. How do you write that resume? What do you do to prepare for an interview? What is a keyword? How do I use it? What about the ATS? It's not magic. It's something that you can know how to get through if you study it. And you don't have to study it as much as you just have to read what I did the study, and then I wrote about it, and you can learn. What is an informational interview and how will it help you land a job? It can help you a lot. I teach you about that. How can you get a suitable job? You need to put in the work. I even teach you how to run your day. I give you a block schedule from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock, from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock, from 10 o'clock to noon. From noon to 12:30, you're going to take a lunch. From 12:30 to 2 o'clock, you're going to be doing social media activities. From 3 to 4, you're going to be doing industry research. So throughout the whole day, I set it up. Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, I tell you what to do so that you can be successful in your job search. It's all there, man. It's free. Check it out. Good morning, Damon. Damon is my partner from Exit Your Way. I'm so happy to see you this morning. It's raining here in Southern California, so I feel like I'm up in Seattle this morning, just so you know. We actually had thunder. I haven't heard thunder in probably a year, and we had some thunder boomies, so my kids were excited. In full disclosure, they're out there on the porch right now, front porch, watching the rain, which you would call drizzle. What is that before it rains? It's that. I even forget what that's called. We don't get a lot of rain here, man. It just is what it is. 4 or 5 inches a year, and that is it. So it hadn't rained here in 200 days. So we're the opposite of Seattle, basically. Anyways. Okay, we're 33 minutes in. I don't have any other questions that I know of. So if you guys have a question, a job search, it could be anything, right? You could talk about your resume. You could talk about interviewing. You could talk about, skill sets, how to increase your skill sets. You guys want to talk about keywords. What's an informational interview? What about referrals? We talked about the 3 pillars of finding a job are based on your education, your experience, and who you know. So we could talk about any of those 3. We could talk about networking. That's bone dry. Yeah, well, that's what we get. I mean, if we get a 1/4 inch, we're excited. When I lived in Texas, we could get 2 to 3 inches in an hour on a regular basis. Here, if we got 2 to 3 inches in 2 hours, that'd be our whole annual rain for the year. So it's just funny. That's what I mean when I say about, moving inside a country to a different geographical area where the weather's different. You can get basically the same effect as moving to another country where you're, you don't need permission to move inside the United States. So like if you move to California in LA where I am, it's really dry. It's hot and dry. I'm in the inland desert, so it's really hot and dry. I don't have ocean views and none of that stuff. It's less expensive to live here than it is on the coast. So that's why most of us do it. So if I want to change, quote unquote, countries without having to leave the United States, I could just like move to Seattle and get a whole different experience. Mountains, rain, pine trees, lakes, the ocean, all that stuff. I could do that. I lived in Texas for 4 years. In Texas, I lived in a part of Texas which actually was called hill country, and so I got a part of Texas that most people don't experience. But I got pine trees and blue bonnets and these little thing called what were they called? Cactus, but it was like there was a cute name for it. Anyways, all kinds of stuff. Just different weather, different people. You know, the United States is very diverse. So like when I visited Florida, I was down at the very bottom of Florida in the Everglades. And that is so different than anything I've ever lived in. You know what I mean? So for me, because I have lived in a lot of places in the United States, I've moved around a lot. I can tell you that just moving from one place to the next place, the number one difference is the weather. That's the number one difference. You know, obviously there's the landmarks and what you see, you know what I mean? Like the geography is different. But, you know, people still go to work, still have bills. People still are gonna, you know, be discontent about something. There's always somebody stirring up some trouble. There's always taxes. It just is what it is. Like when I moved to Texas, you know, Texans are very proud of the fact that they have no state income tax. Well, that wasn't uncommon to me because I moved there from Nevada. We didn't have state income tax either. But I'll tell you what was a surprise was the fact that the tax for property was 3 times what it was in Nevada. So, you know, I didn't know that when I moved there. I didn't negotiate a salary that considered that. I just made a faulty presumption that the tax rate for property was the same. And then I was severely short of income that I would have negotiated a higher salary to compensate for. So again, when you're looking at moving, you got to look at it all. Don't look at it through fantasy glasses because it could get you. You got to really do your homework. You guys really have to study. And I get really nervous. Let me just be completely honest with you guys. Okay. I think most of you are out of your mind when you say, I want to move to the United States. You don't know what it's like here. Because if you did, you would say something more specific, like, I want to move to New York, or I want to move to Chicago, or I want to move to Los Angeles, or I want to move to Seattle, or wherever, because you have done more homework. You have fantasized about moving to a place like the United States. You don't actually want to live here. And I have a feeling that some of you, when you get here, there's a reality call, a wake-up call that is unpleasant. And I know this is true because I've talked to people who have immigrated. I personally have talked to people who have immigrated from other places to here after they've immigrated. And they'll tell you almost always the same thing. It is not what I thought it was. They imagine in their mind what they saw in the movies or a TV show. And then they end up moving to a place like Cincinnati, Ohio. No offense, I lived in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's a great place. But it's dark gray skies a lot. And there's, like I said, civil discontent. And there's traffic. And it's just, you know, it's real life. It isn't the rainbows and the clouds, the puffy clouds and the unicorns and all that stuff. It's not, I mean, we have to go to work. And it's, again, your money doesn't go as far as you think it should. A lot of you don't even consider that. Like, what would I actually make if I live there? What's my cost of living going to be if I live there? There's a lot to it. So just dig into it completely. Start with the areas. Know the differences. Learn the differences because there are huge differences. Seattle, Washington is 100 million miles different than the greater Los Angeles area. 100% different. So cost of living, philosophies, traffic. Where are you going to live? How far away from your office are you going to live? You know what I mean? This is like when I say you want to think about when you visit, and you need to visit. I'm telling you, don't ever move to a place you don't visit, right? But when you visit, make sure that you visit and stay in a place that's comparable to what you would be able to afford. And then try to find a place in the area that you would be able to live, to rent while you stay here, and then experience that rush hour traffic. You know what I mean? And don't minimize it. I had a job where I had to commute 2.5 hours a day each way. 5 hours of commuting. I did that job for 2.5 years, couldn't take it anymore, and I left. It's really tough to do. It's a lot of time to be away from your family. Happy about their election results? Well, I'm glad you're happy. I don't know that anybody should be happy yet, because let me tell you, it's not over. There's recounts that are going to be happening. There's going to be a bunch of political crap that's going to happen. It's not done yet. Now, it's fine to be happy that Biden will win, and I actually think that that's the most likely outcome. So I'm not saying, Biden won't be the winner. I'm just saying that it's not done yet. The AP doesn't get to declare, well, I mean, they do get to declare who they think the winner is, but that doesn't actually make it who the winner is. You know what I mean? Like Fox News proclaimed that Arizona was going to Trump on election night, pretty early, actually, even in election night, but it doesn't make him actually the winner. You see what I mean? There's a thing called the Electoral College. We vote. Those delegates actually go to the Electoral College. Did you know that those guys, the people that they have picked, can actually vote for either candidate without reprisal? So, you know what I mean? When you have 290 of them, the odds that you're going to flip 20, it's never happened before. So you feel pretty good. And you should, because realistically, they should vote for the person they said they were going to vote for. So you shouldn't even have to worry about that. But I don't take anything for granted anymore. It's not over till it's over, right? But I would much rather be in Biden's position if I was a Biden guy. I didn't vote for Biden, just so you know. So, but that doesn't matter, right? We all get a vote. So I would rather be in Biden's shoes right now than Trump's. That's how I would feel. So if you're pro Biden, absolutely good to feel good about that. And hopefully for your sake, it'll work out. But I'm just saying it's not done yet. Completely different across the U.S. Most people don't realize it. It's different even across the state. If you live in Hollywood, it's different than living in San Diego. And it's different living in San Diego and Hollywood than it's different living in the Inland Empire where I live, which is different than living anywhere in the Bay Area, which is different than living in the Central Valley. Living in Fresno is different than Sacramento. Living in any of those towns is different than where I used to live in Manteca or Stockton. I've lived in Napa, California. I've lived in San Jose. I've lived in Sunnyvale. I've lived all over this state. I'm going to tell you, just inside California alone, you can find 100 different types of communities, 100 different types of communities, different weather, different politics, different traffic, different cost of living. There's places in California where, it's mountain. It's all mountain. And so you're going to live in a mountain and you're going to deal with bears and snow. I don't have any of that. You know what I mean? We deal with fire ants out here in Southern California. We have ants. It's like the town that I live on was basically built on a giant ant hill. I didn't know that when I decided to move down here, that the town I was moving to was basically had ants everywhere. It's ants. We fight ants all year long in my home. And we're not messy people. It's just because we live in the desert and it's a giant anthill. So welcome to the desert. You know what I mean? That's the kind of stuff that you don't read about or think about when you're, in another country and you want to move to the United States. You're just like, I'd be happy anywhere. I'll be happy to deal with the ants. Well, it is first world problems, but it's, it's annoying. It's really annoying. So good morning, Sally. What time is it in Kenya right now? Pray for America. I think that's true every day. And I do want to emphasize this. I don't care I do care who wins the election, but either way, whoever's winning the election, whoever is going to be the next president, they'll be the president of the United States. And it would behoove all of us, whether we voted for the person. Like I said, I didn't vote for Biden. Now, I'm not going to pretend like I did. But if he is the winner, and it looks like he is, I'm going to pray for him. I'm going to support him. I'm going to go to work. I'm going to pay my taxes, and I'm going to try to be the best citizen I can. I would do the same thing if Trump won. When Obama was president, I didn't vote for Obama, but he was still my president. I still went to work. I still was respectful. So followed the laws. I don't understand this whole thing where like people think he's not my president. No, he's still your president. And when a woman gets elected, she'll be your president. You know what I mean? The president is the president. It's not one of those things where you can be happy or unhappy 100%. Totally get that. But if you live long enough in your life in the United States, you're going to have people that are elected that you didn't vote for. And I'll even give you a statistic. It's going to be about half the time because the United States people are fickle. So, it's like we like to blame the other person. Like, oh, okay, well, you guys had the power for this much time and you didn't do what you said you were going to do. We're going to give the other people a shot. The other people are going to do the same thing. Because what I said earlier, most people's platform, their campaign that they run on, never mirrors what they actually do. You go back historically and you look at what a person did over their term. And then you look at their campaign and you try to say, okay, well, they said they were going to deal with this. And there they did it. And they said they were going to deal with that. I'm going to tell you what, you can like them or not. But Trump actually did that more than most people. If you go back and look at what he ran on in 2016, or for 2016, because most of that was 2015. But anyways, when you look at that, what he ran on and what he did up to COVID, he was knocking it out of the park. As far as now, you might not like it, but that's what he ran on, and that's what you know what I mean. I appreciated that about Trump. I don't like his Twitter stuff. The guy is not presidential when it comes to the way he runs his mouth. And I think that actually was what cost him the election, honestly, is his personality. Because his performance was pretty good. Now, again, you might not like his style, and you might be super liberal and hate everything conservative. I get it. Because people are like that. But if you just look at what a person runs on, like, for example, I didn't vote for Biden, but Biden has a platform that he ran on. He should try his best to implement that whole platform. That's what politicians should do. You campaign on doing these things, then do them. 100%. I won't like it, but I'll respect it because that's what he said he was going to do. Now, with a Democrat House and a Democrat president, the issue that he'll have, and this happened with Trump, you still have to get the Congress to agree. So if they were to win, and it doesn't look like they will, but if they were to win the Senate and have all three, then there's no excuse. Like, the one thing that I can say for Trump is, there are things he wanted to do that the House, Nancy Pelosi, basically didn't let go through. Now, it's not her job to make Trump's life easy. Her job is to do what she thinks is best for the United States inside her political party, of course. So it is what it is. But did I receive an email? I don't know. Maybe. I'll have to see. I get lots of emails. What email did you send me? It is 20:44 p.m. So that is, what is that, 8 o'clock? 8:44? So it is 9:51 now here. So it looks like you're quite a bit later than me. So it's still Saturday? Just 8:44 in the evening on Saturday? I've got to go. Have a great day. Thanks, buddy. You too. Hopefully you get some sunshine. Since I'm getting your rain, you can have some sunshine. Okay, we have 10 minutes left. So if you have any questions for me, go ahead and send them to me. And let's see if I can answer them for you. I'm drinking some coffee that's a little bit too hot. I made a fresh pot. I put it in and I closed the lid too soon, I think. So it's like my tongue is scalding right now. Let us go to I'm going to go to the blog real quick. Let's pull this up. While I am waiting for questions. Yes, it's Saturday here. Cool. It's always interesting for me to know where people are and what time it is and those types of things. So, okay. I think you guys have seen this one, right? Counterpunch ageism. This is a really big problem. So I'm going to pull this up. Let's just talk about some of the strategies on how to defeat ageism. Now, if you don't know what ageism is when somebody is discriminating against you based on your age. They don't want to hire you. You're going to hear things like you're overqualified, which is really stupid, honestly. What they really mean when they say you're overqualified is one of two things. A, you're too close to retirement. We don't want to hire you because we don't want to have to replace you in the next year or two. Or when they say you're overqualified, we don't think we can afford you. And we don't want you to use this as a bridge gap job. And then, when the economy turns around, go find something else. Now, I'm going to come back to this article in just a second. I want to look at you face to face here for a second. If you don't know what a bridge gap job is a job is a job that you take knowing that you're not going to stay there for long. It's just to fill in for now. And employers honestly don't like that. And I don't blame them. Okay. Because their whole responsibility is not to you as a job seeker. You may or may not like to hear that. I hate to break it to you, but it is what it is. Their job is to make money for their owner or for their stakeholders. That's why they're in business. Businesses don't go in business to employ people for the most part. There are exceptions to that rule. But most businesses go into business for the sole purpose of making money. Okay? So do they have responsibilities to their employers or their employees? 100% they do. But as a job seeker, you're not their employee. So their responsibilities to you are really just to be open and honest and give you a fair shot at earning the job. They shouldn't be lying to you. They shouldn't discriminate against you. They should communicate with you once you have entered the interview process. Before that, when you submit your resume, they don't owe you a response. So when you hear things like they ghosted me, I always have to dig a little bit into that to find out if it was actually ghosting, because ghosting starts at this point, the moment they say, we're going to interview you. And if you never hear back from them at that point, now you have been ghosted. Now, you also have to understand there's a difference between recruiters and companies. Sometimes recruiters are working on the behalf of a company for a job listing, but they don't actually work for the company. So if you're going to get mad about being ghosted by a recruiter, just make sure you put the blame where the blame belongs, on the recruiter themselves, not necessarily on the company, especially if they're an external recruiter. Okay. An internal recruiter, I might still blame the company. But anyways, that's all just by way of introduction. I want to make sure that we're all on the same page. Okay. So ageism. This is why ageism exists at all. Okay. I'm going to go to full screen here. There's 4 main reasons why ageism exists at all. And it's not correct. It's all bad, but it is why it exists. The cost of healthcare is one. It's super, super, super expensive. Okay. So when you employ older folks, statistically, they're more likely to get sick, to get cancer and things that are expensive. So insurance companies charge employers more. So that's number 1. Number 2 is, it's kind of ridiculous, but it's the perception of energy level. Okay. So energy levels can be lower, meaning they're not going to get as much done. Okay. I kind of get that, but I'll talk about that in a second. The third thing is the high cost of onboarding. So it's expensive to hire people anyways. And when you're hiring somebody who's older, like I said, it's just like the bridge gap job. You don't want to hire somebody who's then you're going to have to replace right away. You want to hire somebody who's going to stick around a while. So one of the reasons why people ask about your 5-year plan. What do you see yourself doing in 5 years? Why do they ask that question? The number one reason why they ask that question is they want to see where you're going to be in your own mind at this point. I'm going to be here working for you. That's what they really want to hear. Okay. Number 4, technology can be a challenge for older employees. I actually think this is debunked too, but it is the perception, and that can negatively affect job performance. So those are the 4 excuses that employers will use to justify ageism. Now, let me get this straight so nobody gets mad at me. I'm not saying that any of those are valid. I'm just saying that that's what people will tell you. Okay? Now, let's keep going. Ageism debunked. Here are my counterpoints to that. When you look at just the cost of healthcare, certainly it's more expensive. There's no doubt about it. But older employers, you're going to have reduced mistakes because of their experience, fewer lawsuits, less missed deadlines, happier customers, because the older people typically are better at customer service. They're typically more, they pay attention. They stay on task more. There's less distractions, right? They have a respect level for not only people internally, but externally. There's just a whole other gamut of things beyond healthcare. When you factor all of that back in, they actually can bring the overall cost down, especially with the lawsuits. Okay. Reduced energy may not always be a factor. However, older employees are normally more reliable. They require less oversight. They're frankly less likely to be goofing off during company time. It's the battle of the tortoise and the hare. Yes, the hare, the rabbit, can move much faster than the turtle. But because the turtle stays on task the whole time, and the hare is goofing around on Facebook and LinkedIn and Twitter and Instagram and playing some video game under their desk, you know what I mean? On their phone. Those kinds of things. Plus, the young guy is more likely to be out partying and coming hungover or calling sick and be disrespectful, frankly. So subordinate, if you will. Lots of reasons why the older person could be better. People are working longer now than ever before in the United States because of the cost of living. It's not because we want to, it's because we have to, right? We live longer than ever before, so we have to work longer. So where people used to retire at 62 all the time, now people are retiring at 70. And that's not even true, because people are getting, they retire from their career, but then they have to go get another job, which means they're not really retired, even if it's part-time. The greeters at Walmart is just a stereotype, but that's happening across the board. People are having to get another source of income later. And so, just because somebody's 60 or 65 doesn't mean they're going to retire in 5 years, especially if you don't force them out. Okay. And using technology is getting easier and easier. You don't have to be a rocket scientist to use a smartphone or a tablet anymore. They have made it so easy to use. And especially with COVID-19 now, almost all of us are comfortable with Zoom and all these things that most of us weren't comfortable with before. So I would say technology is not necessarily an issue either. In fact, I recommend as a strategy in this article, which I'm not going to have time to read for you, that people take with them like a smartphone and set it down on the table. You're not going to be playing with it. You're not even going to touch it. You're just going to take it and set it down on the table, or a tablet. If you're, pushing 60, in your 50s, late 40s, take it, set it down on the conference room table when you're getting interviewed. Why? Because it's going to infer that you know how to use it. And it's going to take away the technology as a stumbling block from their mind. It's a psychological thing. But anyways, you have to counterpunch ageism to overcome it. This article is all about that. Anyways, that's my time for the day. I hope you guys had you got your questions answered. Didn't get a lot of questions. Most of them were about moving from one country to the other. And there was a question about scams and how to identify if a job is a scam. So hopefully I was able to answer that for you. My name is Ira Bowman. I appreciate you joining. I will be on again on Monday. I'm going to be revising, just so you guys know, I'm going to be revising my calendar. And this show is going to go down to 1 episode a week. I'm going to have Ask Ira Jobseekers Q&A just once a week, because of the frequency of questions that I'm getting is just not enough to justify being on twice a week. So that will start this coming week. So I'll be on Monday, and then I won't be on again until the following Monday. So if you guys want to check me out, just adjust your schedules. I do have an IRA guide I will be updating. I'm going to be announcing a new show. It will not be a live. It's going to be a podcast. I'm going to have a co-host, and we're going to be doing some fun things. So look forward to doing that. And I hope you all have a great weekend. Have a great day, everybody. Just got to get the music going. Lost my music. I got to start it again. There we go. Have a great day, everybody.